Hey folks, welcome back to Max and Dave Horsemanship. And I kind of feel bad. I messed up. Don't know if I didn't hit the record button right or the battery died or whatever. Anyhow, last time I was in the round pen here, we didn't record it. Sorry. But that's okay. You're not really going to miss much because we're going to repeat everything that we did, and including some things we've been doing out in the pasture where there's no way we could even capture that on video anyhow. And I'm going to show you what I've been doing and explain it. A number of the things that we've been doing this one, we're going to be repeating many times, and so will you with your horse, because nothing ever gets fixed in one session. It usually takes several, well, quite a few even, depending on the horse. And you're going to go over it again and again. And this is lovely. She's approaching me now. She didn't used to do this. Now, just in case you missed it when I talked about it the last time, this is a completely untrained horse and pretty much unhandled as well. So it's presented some challenges, and I'm going to talk about one of them that's kind of unique to her. But before you can do anything with a horse, you have to be able to approach it so you can catch it. And then you have to be able to actually get a rope around it and then put a halter on and on and on. Now, the last time I had her in the round pen here last weekend, we did actually eventually get a halter on her, and we did catch her. But we've discovered over the course of several times, because lots of times I'll go out in the pasture and I'll spend a few minutes with her, just a couple minutes at a time, sometimes can accomplish an awful lot, which apparently has with her. As you can tell, she's not hesitant to be near me anymore. And well, those little things add up. And again, those are those little things where, dragging the camera out and everything to explain to you what I'm doing isn't going to work. But one of the things that we had to do was be able to approach her. So I'm going to talk briefly about how we accomplished that. I used a couple of different approaches. One is I'd walk towards her from the side, as I've mentioned before in another video, how to approach a horse. And every time she'd turn to look at me, I'd step away. And then she got figuring out that, hey, paying attention to me, not a bad thing. It gives her control over me. Now she just wandered off here. We'll get her back here in a minute. In the round pen, another way that you can get the horse to, well, some people call it a join up. I'll call it hooking on because there's a couple other guys call it that. And that other term that is commonly used is actually copyrighted by some yahoo that, well, we won't go there. Hi, sweetie. So I'm going to show you a couple of things aside from the approach and retreat thing that I did. I did that many times where I would actually step towards her, and every time she looked at me, I would, just like that, I'd step back and stop the approach. And then she got, well, okay, I got control over this guy. He's not going to keep coming at me if I don't want him to. And if I pay attention to him, I've got a little control over him. And they like that. Horses like to feel that situation, that they have some control over what's going on around them, and that's helpful. Following up to that, I would also just kind of very, very slowly walk up beside her, a couple inches at a time, and then eventually I'd reach out and touch her. First couple of times I did that, she wasn't too cool about it, didn't like being touched and would step away, but I'd just casually follow along. I'd keep a distance away from her. Not, enough that I couldn't quite touch her actually, but I just followed along with her, and when she stopped, I'd stop. And then she realized, hey, he's paying attention to me. Okay, maybe I like this guy. And as you can see, obviously it's had some effect, because now we can touch this horse, no problem. But I'll talk about the other thing aside from touching, because I started off very casually touching her, and just briefly, and in what I referred to before in another video as the safe zone down on the shoulder area. It's the least intrusive. I gradually worked up the neck a little, down the back a little, and now I can even touch her face, which sometimes she's not too cool with it, but it's progress anyhow. She let me touch her. I'm happy with that, actually. But I'm going to talk about her issue with ropes. Now, I don't think she's ever been abused. I don't know a whole lot about this horse. Actually, nobody really does. She was kind of an accident. The lady that bought a mare, and not long after this one arrived, the mare she bought turned out was in foal. So there's her problem. But she's been virtually unhandled and untrained, completely untrained, and very little handling at all. And I think the only time they moved her around from place to place, they probably used ropes in some fashion. I don't know how. I doubt very much it was abusive, but it was enough that it really disturbed her. It bothered her, and now when she sees a rope, she gets pretty concerned. And I'm going to show you how we dealt with that, because you might have to too. You never know. And obviously, everything we do, whether it's leading the horse, putting a halter on, or whatever, ropes are involved. So, you know, before we can even catch the horse and bring it in, because this horse actually lives out on about a 40-acre pasture. We are in a round pen right now. Oh, by the way, mentioning the round pen, you don't need one, okay? I'm just here because it's here, all right? It exists. It's a convenient place to use. So we're in the round pen, and because it keeps the other horses out and this one in. And that's what I like about it. I don't care that it's a round pen. It could be a square pen. It could be an oval pen. I don't really care. I did a video once before talking about how it's important to have a contained space to work in. If you got one little corral or even a corner or something you can rope off or whatever, close off, and make a little area that you can work in, you got her made. That's all you need. You need a place to work. And that's what we're doing here with the round pen. I'm going to show you what we did with the ropes, because, well, they're important, and you kind of got to get over this stuff. And she's still wary about it too, so we're not done. This is not over. What we've got here is just, you know, an ordinary rope halter and a lead rope, nothing fancy or special. And these are things that, you know, if you got a horse, you're going to have this stuff. So use what you got. You don't need special tools. I do have a couple of things that you might not have, but they're not real fancy things, and they aren't going to cost you a whole bunch, and I'll elaborate on them later when we use them. Now, the rope halter, I'm not going to use it just yet. Right now, we're concerned with the rope. She doesn't like ropes, and I'm going to show you how we dealt with that. At first, she's not near as concerned now as she was, but at first, I would hold it on the opposite side of my body, and I would approach her very slowly and gently, and I'd start rubbing on her, and she was okay with that. But the minute this thing moved, she got concerned. You see even now, her head popped up a little bit, but she's still here. She's not overly concerned about it. And then gradually we could get it closer and closer. And every time we'd find her limit, and this is something I've talked about before, is finding the limit line and don't cross it. Well, inevitably you're going to. It's going to happen. But you want to try not to cross it if you don't have to, because an upset horse doesn't learn a thing. Hey, sweetheart, I need you back over here for this. Well, maybe I'm going to have to show you what else we did before we get back to this. Oh, no, she's already coming back. But we gradually just kind of got closer and closer, very slowly, over days. You know, you don't do this all at one time until you get to the point where you can touch her with it. But that's all you do. You just, you know, touch her with it and then take it away. That's all. And you may do that quite a few times. And you can distract her by, what I did one time is she was actually eating on a big hay bale. So she wasn't too concerned. I was rubbing all over her, and she figured out that, hey, you know, he's not interrupting my survival food that I need, which maybe it's pleasure to them as well, I don't know. But she kind of figured out that wasn't a problem, so I was rubbing all over from one end to the other, and then every once in a while I'd touch her with the rope. And I just kept doing this over and over, and until she realized that, you know what, the rope doesn't interfere with anything else. I get to keep eating, and the rope isn't an issue. And we just kept touching her more and more with it. I'm still doing the same thing now that I did before, because if I was to just whip this thing over her, she would probably take off. I'm pretty sure she would. But I'm rubbing on her, and I got the rope in my hand at the same time. Now, she's a little cautious. You see that? She just backed off. She didn't like that too much. So we're going to stop doing that and go back to just rubbing on her without the rope. And we're going to keep repeating the process until she's super comfortable with this. We'll just go nice and slow. And when she's totally good with this, then we're going to touch her with the rope again. And I'm going to be sneaky about it in a way. Most of it's going to stay in the other hand, but I got the end of it in this hand that I'm rubbing her with, so that when I rub her, I'm actually touching her with the rope. And eventually she gets to figure out, well, hey, maybe that rope's not so bad after all, but no, she's still a little wary. Now there's also a road right behind us, cars drive by, she gets a little concerned about that. There's a lot of stuff that can get her going, and you have to be aware of this stuff. It's not necessarily you're doing something wrong, sometimes it's just other things that distract them, and that sort of thing. I'm just happy she's standing here actually, right now. But you can see I'm rubbing her, I got the rope in my hand, she's not really paying much attention to what I'm doing. There, now she realized what's going on, and she's like, oh, well, maybe I back off. But this is an improvement here too. She's curious about the rope, she's sniffing it, she's nibbling on it. Actually, I don't want her chewing on things, so we won't encourage that. But I'm glad she's curious about it. That's a huge improvement right there. The rope's not such a bad thing. She's checking it out, see that? It's not hurting her. And you're going to be doing this stuff if you have an issue like this. You might have to do this for quite a while. It might take you, I think the first time I put a halter on her, I think it took me over half an hour, at least. I don't know. I don't worry much about time when I'm with the horses. It's one of those things that time doesn't seem to really exist. Well, it doesn't for the horse anyhow, so why should it for me? And don't be scared to praise your horse, Tell her she's a good girl or a good boy, whatever the case is, I do that a lot because even at this point, she doesn't really understand what those words mean. They don't mean nothing to her, but when I say them, I mean them. And so they sense your energy. And so she's got it figured out that, hey, if I say good girl, I'm happy with her. And she learns that. And that's why, as you can see now, 1 week ago, I couldn't get near this horse, okay? Now, she's quite happy to be with me. I don't have a rope on her or anything keeping her here. She's here because she wants to be. So that's the kind of progress you can make. And we did most of it just in a few minutes here, a few minutes there out in the pasture, just spending some time with her. And this is what you're going to have to do too. And this is real world stuff too. I'm not there's no props or anything going on here. This isn't planned. This is a completely untrained, unhandled horse that we're working with, and I'm showing you exactly what you're going to have to do. Now she's still pretty wary, She's not super cool with humans, but she's starting to figure out that humans aren't something to really be worried about. This darn rope, though, she's still a little concerned with. But again, we're going to try and get it on her. I've already done it once today. I've done it a couple times yesterday, the day before. We just keep doing it. No, don't nibble on my gloves. I'm wearing them. That would hurt. That's a trait that's more reserved for geldings. It's not so much for little girls. They aren't usually all that mouthy. Apparently this one is. But she doesn't do it a lot, so yes, that's a nice spot right there, isn't it? Yeah. And if you take your time, you can figure out the good spots where the horse likes it. And, if she really likes being scratched right here, say, do it lots. Do it until she's had enough. And she'll figure out that, hey, humans are not bad. They make me feel good. They scratch me in the itchy spots that I can't reach. And then they're more inclined to want to be around you if they connect you with something pleasurable. And that's kind of what we try to do, is always make our experience together a good one. I don't put too much pressure on her. Like I said, find the line, don't cross it, because when the horse gets all freaked out and worried, it's not learning nothing. And she is moving a little bit here, but she's staying near me, and I'm really happy about this. This connected is very good, and it's actually fairly recent too. This is just happening. I think yesterday was the first time she really wanted to be with me, and now she's getting to the point where she's even getting curious, and she's sniffing at me and touching me with her nose, things like that. So we're making huge improvements, and we haven't achieved that with any fancy tricks or anything like that. Just go real slow and take our time, a few minutes here and there, because I have a regular job, my work schedule. I get home, there isn't much daylight by the time I get home, so I really don't have much time to work with her before it gets too dark to do so, because there's no lights out here. And so we just keep on doing things, a few minutes here and a few minutes there, and this is the result we get. Now this is a horse, like I said, a week ago you couldn't get near her. Now, as you can see, she wants to be with me, and she doesn't mind me touching her. And she's still a little cautious depending on where I touch her. She's a little wary, but that's okay. We'll just, if I'm making her uncomfortable, I'll stop doing it. It's really that simple. You know, she's really getting curious about me. She's actually poking me in the back with her nose now, sniffing at me and stuff like that, which is really cool. So back to the rope, because I'm going to, before we're done here, I'm going to put this rope on her. Even though she really doesn't like this thing that much. As you can see, she just turned her head away as soon as it came towards her. She doesn't like this thing. She's improved dramatically, but she still doesn't like it. And we got a long ways to go because, like I said, just about everything you're going to do with your horse involves a rope of some kind. So she's got to get good with this stuff. And so it's not the only thing we've been doing with her, but it's certainly an important one, because if we can't get this down, we can't do much else. But we'll work on that. We'll see what we can accomplish here. So I'm just going to move back over beside her and just rub on her lots. Tell her she's a good girl. Well, she wants to take a step back. She likes to keep an eye on me and the rope. I'm going to move over. I'm just going to stay with her. There we go. Now she stops. Oh, she's going to move again? Okay. Well, this is where I said you just keep going with the horse. Wherever she goes, I'm going to go. I'm not going to chase her. Absolutely don't chase her, but just try and anticipate where she's going so that you can be fairly close to her, kind of cut her off a little bit. Not really, but you don't want to get in front of her. She'll just spin around and go the other way. There we go. We're back with her again. She felt a little uncomfortable. She needed to move, and as you can see, there's no ropes or halters on her right now. She can do what she wants, and that's okay, because I don't want her to feel trapped. I want her to feel like she can control the situation. I'm probably damn near off camera here. Excuse your language. Try to keep my videos PG. No, not PG. G, that's it, yeah. Family oriented. I'll try to do that. Watch the language. Although I don't swear a whole lot anyhow. So it's not that hard to actually behave myself. But see if I can touch her face. Oh, look at that. We definitely couldn't do that before. She's improving them dramatically. Very good. Now we're just going to slowly move back around here beside her again. Oh, and she says, I know what you're up to. I'm out of here. Well, it's okay. If she feels the need to move, I'm going to let her move. She will come back. I know she will. She's already circling back. She just knows I'm up to no good with this rope. And so she's going to do what she thinks she needs to do to protect herself, what gets her through the day. It's something that you'll hear other guys say, horses don't know good and bad. They know what works. So whatever the horse does is simply what it's learned. However that happened, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But that's what it's learned. And that it's not doing anything bad, because horses don't know bad. They don't understand bad. And I don't know how many times I've heard people say the horse did something bad, or it's a bad horse, or whatever. And no, it's not. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist. Horses have no concept of good and bad. They just do what they think they need to do. And that's exactly what she's doing right now. She thinks she needed to move away, so that's what she did. And I'm not going to stop her from doing that, because although it's not a desirable thing at this point, that's not my major concern. I just want her to get used to this stupid rope, this silly rope. It's all that matters, because, I still got it here. Once we get this around her, then we can put the halter on. Once we get the halter on, then we can do some other things with her, and I'm going to show you them too. And I think I better show them to you now, because this little horse has gotten so good at some stuff that I'm actually a little concerned that I don't want to go too much further without capturing it with the camera, or you're going to miss stuff, because although she has a certain aspect to her, she's very wary. Personality-wise, she's very good, and she's really smart and learns very quick. We've actually done quite a few things with her already that kind of surprised me how well they went. But again, it involved getting a rope on her first and a halter, which is what we're going to work on today. We're going to do more stuff, but oh, look at that. Now I'm a scratching post? Goodness sakes. A sweet little horse. There we go. Good girl. There we go. Now you notice she went to walk away and I just kind of cut her off. I stepped in front of her and kept my arm on her so that she learns. There's kind of two reasons for that. I'm not really forcing her to stay, but I want her to learn that her moving doesn't make me go away. And I'm doing it again even now. Every time she takes a step to the side or something like that, I just take another step. So I'm always in the exact same position in front of her. And then she figures out, oh, okay, moving's a waste of time. I'm not going to bother doing that anymore. At least that's kind of my hope. And there she goes again. So we're just going to go with her. And by this point, we're probably way off camera. And then she just stopped, turned around, looked at me, and realized, okay, you're still there. I like this. What a sweet little horse. Okay, now I'm going to walk away. I rubbed her, I patted on her, I rubbed on her, and I walked away. And guess what? She's following me. See how this works? This is how you make a connection with a horse. When they realize you're not a threat to them, they don't mind being with you. Especially if, when you do things, you ask them to do things that maybe they wouldn't normally do, but you're controlling them. They like authority. And horses don't take offense too, by the way. And I got to tell you this early on, so you don't hesitate to do things for fear of upsetting the horse, because no, a horse doesn't get mad at you. They don't hold grudges, nothing. That's one of the wonderful things about horses, is they'll never hold a grudge. They don't take things personal. To them, it's just information. It's like, maybe I shouldn't do that or whatever. And they put it in their little memory bank and use it another day. And you solve a problem that way. Hey, sweetie, what a good little girl. I'm quite impressed, though, with the progress we're making. Like I said, a week ago, you couldn't get near this horse. I haven't really been doing anything special except just going slow and easy. And, she's learning that I'm not such a bad guy, because I don't do anything that hurts her or scares her or anything like that. I try to move very slowly and gradually around her. I do everything quite gently so that she doesn't get upset about stuff. Now, I haven't forgotten about this rope, by the way. I'm still working on this thing, and she's still not cool with it. See, she can't make the rope go away by moving away. I'm going with her. The rope is still touching her. Now I'm just going to gently slide it over her. See how this works. There it goes. It fell off. I wish it had stayed on her, because it's one of these tricky situations where you don't want the horse to think he can make things go away by running away. And essentially that's kind of what she was doing. And so I couldn't keep up with her because she started picking up speed. And so I just dropped the rope on her back and left it there, hoping it would stay there for a while, which it did, but unfortunately it eventually fell off. And so she may have actually just learned a bad lesson there. She may have just learned that running away makes the rope go away, which is not what I want. Don't mind me, I'm getting rid of some snow on it. Not that it really matters a whole lot, but... Alrighty. Back to the little girl. She's wary now. She goes, oh, you still got that rope? I know you're up to no good. She knows. She's not stupid. You're a smart little horsey, aren't you? You smart little horse? Yes, you are. But one thing I have discovered, though, once you do get a rope around her, though, she's actually very responsive to it. She's not going to freak out on me and start yanking and pulling as soon as there's something around her neck. She's already got it figured out that she needs to yield to it. And I've even led her around a little bit with just a rope around her neck. And all you got to do is just 2 fingers, pull on it a tiny bit, and say, take a step, and she'll take a step. Actually quite remarkable. Hi, sweetheart. Hi, sweetie. Good girl. Yeah. Oh, there we go. There's that itchy spot you like. Yeah. And this is one of those times where it's like, see, the rope's coming towards her, and she knows it, and it's now touching her. There we go. And we're just going to slip our hand around there. We have now caught the horse. And I'm going to show you how she gives the pressure here. I'm just going to... This is how good she is. Now we're going to put the halter on now, and I know she doesn't like this part because it's ropes on her face. And that the face is one of the most sensitive and protected areas on a horse. People don't understand that, and they think that they can do whatever they want with the face. No, you can't. The face is actually an area of the horse. You know, I never go for the face when I'm wanting to pet the horse unless it's a horse I really know well and I've got a good relationship with. I'll always start down here, and I'm going to gradually work my way up. And in her case, I can occasionally touch the face. Occasionally. You know, we still have our limits, what we can get away with here. Now, she's got her attention over there because there's a vehicle pulling into the yard. She's actually calling back to one of the other horses. But let's see if we can get this halter on. Now, you see, she's turning her head away when I do this. She's not going to go anywhere if I'm holding on to her here. She's thinking about it because she's actually really got some incentives here. But as I bring this over, good girl. Oh, she's going to turn her head again. She did this last time I tried putting it on. No, 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 no. No, no, no. You don't get to move away. She's very distracted by other things that are happening here right now. There we go. I actually had to hang on kind of tight for that. Good girl. There's a good girl. You gonna let me put this on now? And as you can see, I'm going very, very slow. I'm taking my time. It's a rope. It's on her face. You know, this is something she's not going to like. But see, she's turning her head away while I bring this up, and I want her to figure out that the rope, this halter, does not go away when she turns her head. She can't avoid it. And there we go. We've got the halter on her. Now we got to do the next tricky part, and this means letting go of the rope and then reaching over to grab the other end that we draw over so that we can tie it. And this halter, yes, is way too big for her. This is actually an adult light horse halter. It's not made for a baby. It's way too big for her, but it works. And so we're going to use it. And it's not the first time this has been done. Actually, just last weekend, the lady that actually owns this horse was out here, and she had her other little one that's about the same age out here. And she couldn't find the right halter for that one, and ended up using a much bigger one off of one of the other horses. And yeah, it was too big, but it worked too. There. There we go. There we go. Lovely. See, we now have a halter on her. And you saw how I went about that. Just nice and slow and easy. We, you know, didn't traumatize the little horse. You see I'm holding it loose. If anything goes south, she gets excited and starts freaking out. She's not going to get a hard jerk. But I'm going to show you how she leads now, too, because this is really cool. And I've only done this a couple times. Oh, my goodness. I'm not even taking the slack out of it. This is incredible. This is ridiculous. I've only done this a few times. Honest. I've only done this a couple times. And she is just following like you would not believe. Now, I'm going to go get my flag, and I'm going to show you the next step that we go into. Once you got a halter and rope on a horse, and this is going to be on the assumption that you don't have a horse that's scared of ropes like this one. This one we actually have to work a little on. She's still not crazy about it, but she's improved dramatically. And it's interesting is once she's caught, she's very good. She doesn't freak out. And, you know, she's not crazy about getting that halter put on, but once it's on and you got a lead on her, she is golden. Don't expect your horse to be like that, by the way. I think this one here is kind of exceptional in many ways. And I have to talk about something else when it comes to these little horses that I think people maybe don't consider. And it's kind of got to do with, I was just watching another guy's video. He was talking about Killdozer. If you don't know who Killdozer is or what Killdozer is, just go search it on the internet. You'll find out. You can read a little bit about it. But it's basically, it was one man went on a rampage because he was basically a pretty decent guy, pretty reasonable, but he'd been pushed to his limits, and he finally fought back against an entire town with this huge dozer that he had, and he built a armored shield around it and everything else. Long story. But the point about that one, the only reason I bring that up, I'm not going to tell you any more about Killdozer or whether or not I think the guy did the right thing, but it's a case of how a relatively reasonable person could be pushed to do unreasonable things. And the same can be true of your horse. Now, this little baby here, she's quite good, but I always mentioned how, find the line and don't cross it. Be careful. Don't cross the line, because even a little horse like this is big enough that if you were to push it, if you push this little horse enough and she decided she needed to retaliate to survive, she could hurt you badly, if not kill you. No, and I'm not joking. This little horse here, even at her young age, already outweighs me, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 to 1. And she has those real hard hooves that if she was to ever take a notion to kick me, she could hurt me pretty bad. And depending on where she happened to hit me, she could kill me. So this is why it's exceptionally important to not push the horse too hard, to see its limits, recognize them, and know when it's time to back off. And you'll actually find out you'll make a lot more progress that way too, because then the horse never makes a negative connection with you. When it sees you, it's like, hey, I like this person. These humans are okay. They're not giving me a hard time. And the dogs are running around now, and you'll notice her ears are up and she's looking around, because dogs are another one of those things that she's a little wary of. And it's not a horrible issue, but she's concerned with them. But I'm going to show you something else here, and it's something we're going to repeat many times. So you're going to get to see this again, but being that we've only done it once actually with her, I am going to show you what we did and how we did it before it gets any better than it is, because I only did it once. Well, actually did it more than once, but in only one session, and I was just amazed how well it worked. So I thought I'd better do it again for you, so you get to see this before it gets way too good, or you're going to go, hey, I didn't get to see what you did. So I'm not only going to do it for you, I'm going to explain what I'm doing, because the first couple of stages I might not even have to do. I don't know, because she's just so darn good. We'll see. Hang on, I'm going to grab my flag. Now, this is one of those instances where I like to use a flag. And now, a lot of people like using what's called a stick and string, or a training stick, or something like that. I'm not crazy about them for a couple of reasons. One is kind of just a selfish, practical thing. I find they're really heavy and my arm gets tired waving those things around. I also don't like the way they're used, because you actually touch the horse with them. And the way that you're taught to use them is you actually, if the horse comes in too close, you tap it on the shoulder to make it move away. Well, unfortunately, that tapping can turn into hitting, and that training can turn into abuse in a hurry, and I don't like that. So just the whole way they're used, there's so many things about them I don't like. And in order to touch the horse with it, it has to be relatively close, because a training stick is about the same length as one of these things. So the horse actually has to be fairly close. And as far as I'm concerned, that's too close. Horse shouldn't be that close. And the nice thing about a flag is you never actually touch a horse with it. And even if it does manage to get close, if it's down in front of you and you just wiggle it like that, that's usually enough to make the horse move away from you. So even in close quarters, it's effective. At a distance, it's effective. You never have to touch the horse with it. And it is just generally very effective. Now I'm going to show you what I've been doing here. And I'm going to see how well this works today. And this is how I would typically do it if we've never done it before. First, I point. That's the direction I want her to move. Then I'm going to cluck. Oh God, I don't even have to cluck. This is what I was afraid of. Okay, after the cluck, I would then bring the flag up. You'll notice I got it behind me. And, oh, she stopped. I'm going to point again. And she goes again. This horse is ridiculous. This is incredible. I got to say, I can't take credit for this. This horse is amazing. Now, she's a little bit too close. So I'm going to just wave the flag in front of me here. See that? And I moved her out. She's out from me now. Because you want to keep her at a distance. She needs to learn that she shouldn't be too close to me. Okay, and we're just going to stop right there. Ooh. You can stop now, dear. Uh-huh. Well, usually she stops better than that. But I'm just going to throw this down for a second because I don't need it, apparently. That's amazing. Now, one of the other things that you need to do with your horse is a disengage. And that's where the tail end moves over, and I've talked about this before. The difference between moving sideways and an actual true disengage is the way the feet move. Hopefully I'm far enough away from the camera you can actually see my feet. Okay, my legs are side by side, similar to where hers are now. And a disengage is where they actually step over like this, and when their legs are crossed like that, they've given up their power of flight. And that's a really important thing. It's something you kind of want them to learn, is to be submissive. And it also is a kind of a statement. It shows you that they are relaxed enough and willing to give up their power of flight in order to do that. The other thing that horses will do is they'll just shuffle their feet side to side, like that, and they'll never actually cross over. That's not a disengage. It will make the tail end move around, but that's not a disengage. This one, she's probably going to do it again, I bet you. Well, I'm going to do a disengage, and it's a very simple thing to do, depending on the horse. You might need your flag for it, you may not. I don't think I'm going to for this one. I didn't the first time I did it, so I'm pretty sure I don't now. I'm just going to keep the lead in front of her because I don't want her to pull her head around. I want her to do this on her own volition. And I'm just going to, you got a little slack in the lead there. I want to have it fairly close because I want to kind of control where her front end is. I don't want her coming in too close. But I'm going to walk over towards the back end here while keeping my arm out. And then I'm just going to move over, dear. There we go. Keep going. Keep going. That's close. Keep going. There, that was a crossover. She actually did it there. She crossed over twice, actually. I should have, well, actually, I meant to stop on the first one. She just kept going. But that's because, like I said, this is the first, second time we've done this with her. So she doesn't know to stop as soon as I back off. Oh my goodness, she's getting more and more social all the time. Look at that. She's got her head right up against me. And this is where I need to explain horse dynamics and herd dynamics, and you have a place in that when you're working with your horse, is you become the horse's leader. Now, you've heard about leadership before, and a lot of you will go, oh, shut up, I don't want to hear about it. It's a bad thing. No, it's not. It's essential. It really is an essential thing. But how it's done makes a difference. And there's lots of bad examples. See, in a herd, the herd leader, or the higher horse, will always move a lower horse. And they respect that. They don't take offense to it. I've told you this before. The horses don't take things personal. It's information. And they really like strong horses. They like, and in this case, I know I'm not a horse, but this horse likes me because of my strength, because I'm dominant over it. I'm making it do things. And if you become dominant over the horse and make it do things, then you're the higher horse, and it will respect you. And it will actually like you. They actually like a strong leader. It makes them feel comfortable and safe and secure and all this stuff. And it's something that, see, this is a horse you couldn't touch a week ago. And now look at her. She likes to be with me because I'm a leader to her. Now, I don't have to be the leader of the whole herd, although I usually am. But you have to be the leader of the horse you're working with. Now let's disengage her again. We're going to go the other way. See the head jump. She's still a little wary. I just wiggle the ropes. I'm going to go the other way now. And I just walk over. Look at that. I just walked over here and she moved, and she actually did a crossover. She did a proper disengage. Wow, this is amazing. I'm really impressed with this. What a good little girl. Well, I'm going to go pick my flag up now because I'm going to have her go around me the other direction now. And the last time I tried that, when I changed direction, she kind of got freaked out because she didn't understand that she needed to go a different direction. She wanted to go the same direction again, and that caused a little anxiety on her part. But I'm thinking this time maybe not. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to be prepared. This is something you always need to do when you're working with your horses. Be prepared for whatever possibility. I might need my flag, so I'm going to make sure I have it. I'm thinking with this one, the way things are going, I'm probably not going to need it, but I'm going to have it just in case I do. And those are the things you got to do too when you're working with a horse. Be prepared, be ready, have your equipment handy, in hand. Not, oh, I got to go get it. No, that's too late. You have a very limited window of opportunity to respond. Depending on who you talk to, that varies. But generally you have within 3 seconds, somewhere in there, maybe a little less, to do something in order to get the horse to respond to you. Now, I showed you the first time, and I should probably elaborate a little bit. Oh my goodness, you are just getting super social. What a sweetheart. My routine is when I want the horse to move, and it doesn't matter what it's a brand new horse, little baby, an adult, we do the same thing. Everything's pretty much the same. I point, I cluck, then I slowly bring the flag up, and then I'll give it a shake, and I'll a little more at a time until I get a response from the horse. But no more. And then the minute the horse does what I want, my arm that was pointing goes down, the flag goes away, it goes back down right beside me or behind me, and problem solved. Because, and that way they learn that if they don't respond to the first cue, you're going to escalate. And pretty soon you don't have to escalate. And you already saw that after just one session with her last week. Now all I got to do is point and she goes. That's simple. And that's a horse that really isn't even halter broke because it's hard to even catch her and get a halter on her at the moment. But she has improved significantly. Okay, so we've got our flag again. And as you can see, it's out behind me. And I'm going to show you one more thing too in a minute. But I think what we're going to do is see if she goes. There. Not bad. A little closer than I'd like, so I'm just going to get the flag between me and her, give it a little wiggle, and she'll stay out. There we go. There we go. And you see I'm holding the lead. It's in an open hand. I'm not forcing her. There we go. See? Simple as that. That's all there is to it. Now I'm going to show you one more thing. Oh, no, I should keep the flag for that. I'm going to ask her to back up. And since I've done this before, I don't want you moving yet, dear. No, I didn't ask you to move. No, it's okay. Now you see what I'm doing with my flag? I'm just blocking her. I put it over where she doesn't want to go. Okay, now she's back in front of me exactly where I want her to be. Now I'm going to ask her to back up. Now, she kind of does know how to give to pressure. And I did do this once before with her, so she did do it. But I'm going to ask her to back up very lightly. I'm going to start putting pressure on the halter and say, back. Back. No, don't turn your head, just back. There we go, good girl. And as soon as she takes even one step, I let go of the halter, take the pressure off. And that way she learns that moving in the right direction makes the pressure go away. Let's do this again now. Back. I got an open hand here, just touching the halter. Good girl. Good girl. I just had an open hand pressing against the knot on the halter. That's all I had. That's all the force I was using. Just, and if she didn't back up, I also used the verbal cue back at the same time. But had she not, and I did the very first time I had her back up, all I did was I just gave the flag a little wiggle behind me. Just to encourage her to back up. That's all it took. Sometimes, depending on the horse, you might have to get a little more like that. That really got her attention. But I think we're going to quit there today. I think that's enough for one day. I might actually ask her to move a couple more times. And then we're going to go put her back out in the pasture with the other little baby, and they can go play around and be kids and have fun. And I hope this is helpful to you. And this is the real stuff. This is the real thing. This is what you can accomplish in a very short period of time using very limited resources. And I forgot to mention with this flag, I've found them to be extremely effective, and you don't have to go out and buy one. I have a factory one, made one, a store in town happened to start stocking them when I bought this one. They just brought a few in to see how they'd sell, and I happened to be there at that time, and I bought one for a reasonable price. They've pretty much doubled in price now, and I would never ever consider buying one. And I wouldn't recommend that you go buy one, although they're a great tool. If you have access to one somehow, do it. Go for it. If not, make one. Yeah, you heard me right. Make one. They're not hard to make. You can make one out of just about anything. I have made one in the past. I made one out of what used to be a lunge whip, what was left of one. Shortened down to about this length, put a piece of that the scary blue tarp on, got a little eyelet on there, tied that on with a little, what was left of the string from the lunge whip, homemade flag. You can make one out of a fishing pole, a golf club, anything you want, tie a rag onto the end of it. The flag is not really a new thing. It's been around for quite some time. I don't know the history all that well, but I do know that long before we invented these things, people were using what was basically the same principle as a flag. They would use a branch off a tree with a few leaves on the end of it. So they had a branch about this long and a bunch of leaves on the end of it, and it worked just like a flag. You hold it out and give it a wiggle, and same thing. And it's biodegradable, natural, everything else, all the good stuff. When you're done with it, you can just throw it away if you want. And for the amount that you're actually going to need one of these things, depending if you use it right and depending on your skill set, and the horse, of course, you might not need one very much, so I definitely would not recommend running out and buying one. They're a great thing to have, and I won't say don't go buy one, but I'm just telling you, you don't need to go out and buy one because they're not cheap to buy, and you can actually make one out of darn near anything. They're a very simple device. Any form of a flexible, somewhat flexible stick with something on the end of it, you got a flag or something equivalent to a flag. And as you can see, the lead has been laying on the ground the whole time I've been talking to you here, and she's still standing here. I touched her, you saw her jump a little, she's still a little wary. That's okay. I'm happy she's still standing here. The lead's on her and she's not going anywhere. I don't have to hang on to it. And those are the kinds of things that you want to achieve. Now, there's some people and vehicles over that direction past the camera. And frequently when the one individual shows up with a vehicle, it usually means they're going to get some supplements. This one and the other youngster, and there's actually another senior here as well that gets special feed. And so they've kind of associated with the humans and vehicles with, she's going to get something to eat. And getting tasty things is always on their mind. So one more thing you can think about. But anyhow, have some fun with your horse. Be patient, go slow. That's the best advice I can give you. And I should also say, before I conclude this video, that the same thing I've said in other videos where I've done demo type things is this is what I am doing in this situation with this horse. What you do might be a little different. And I'm not going to tell you that my way is the absolute how you have to do things. Okay? You can do things a lot of different ways. This is just what I'm doing, and you can take what I'm doing and use it as a guideline and adapt it to your needs. That is something that is very, very important, is you must always be willing to adapt to the current needs of yourself, the situation, and the horse. There's a lot of guys out there that will try and tell you one size fits all. I've mentioned this before, and drives me nuts, because one size does not fit all. Every horse, every situation, and every individual requires things done just a little bit different. And a lot of guys will say, hey, you buy my DVDs, you come to my clinics, you learn how to do things exactly how I do them, and you'll be a horseman just like me. No, you won't. Well, unless they're a crappy horseman. But then if you're less of a horseman than they are, you're not going to know the difference. And so that's something to be concerned with too, is don't think that you have to do things exactly the way somebody else does. Do them exactly the way you do them. That's the best advice I can give you, is be you. Be the best you that you can be. And you're not going to have a problem with things. Okay. So, like I said, this is what I'm doing in this situation with this horse, and these are the results. Is this exactly what you're going to have to do? Probably not. I'm pretty sure not, because one of the traits of a good horseman is being flexible and tweaking things a little bit to the individual needs of the situation and the horse and you. And just go slow, be patient. That's the biggest thing. Take your time, don't get excited, and take what you get. What I'm getting out of this one is just ridiculous. I'm more than happy with what I'm getting. And if I got a whole lot less, I'd still be pretty happy, because any improvement is progress, and progress is what you want. So don't get discouraged if things don't go as fast as you just saw this. Go with this one, because honestly, this is not normal, I don't think. Well, maybe if you do it right with the right horse, I don't know. I don't think it's normal, but maybe it will be. Maybe it will be for you. Anyhow, take your time, go slow, and have a good day. Bye now.